In this video, we're going to talk about having some count data, which leads us to incidence rates and measures of association for incidence rates. So the example I'm going to use for our reference is thinking about an RCT, or a randomized controlled trial. Now this is similar to a cohort, right? The only difference is in a cohort, people self-assign themselves to the exposed or unexposed group. In a trial, we randomly assign people to one or the other. But aside from that, people start on a treatment, we follow them forward in time and see the outcome. So the example I'm going to use is looking at an X variable of, is an individual receiving a treatment, yes or no, and an outcome variable counting the number of fractures that happen. Okay, so count data essentially is where we're counting the number of times some event occurs in a fixed period of time. Okay? And it doesn't need to be time, so a few different examples that lead to count data would be, say, counting the number of people who show up to the emergency room in an hour or in a day, the number of new cases of measles per week or per month, lung cancer deaths, and these can be per capita, right? So the number of lung cancer deaths per 1,000 people per year. They can also be looking at measures of area or space, right? Counting the number of grizzly bears per square kilometer, okay, or the number of impurities or defects per 1 meter squared on a surface. Okay, but you can see all of these end up leading to being summarized using a rate, right? A rate being the number of people who show up to the ER per hour, right? Or the number of fractures per 1,000 people per year. So let's put that down on the board. We tend to summarize count variables using a rate, okay? The number of occurrences. Okay. And I should step back and say the number of occurrences is the count, right? That's the number of times the event happened. Okay, so the number of occurrences is the count divided by the time. Okay, and again, I'm using the term time sort of generically. Okay, it doesn't need to be actual measure of time, right? Like that example we said, the number of grizzly bears per square kilometer. Okay, but our most common applications, especially in health research, is where we're looking at time. The reason we need to account for the time is, depending on the study design, not all people have the same follow-up time. Right, so if we're looking at, in this example, the number of fractures that happen, some people may have been followed for 6 months, some may have been followed for 3 years. Okay, so having one fracture happen in 6 months is not the same as having one fracture happen in 3 years. Right? So we need to kind of account for how long they've been followed for. Okay, so we'll take a moment to talk a little bit about the idea of person time and how that comes into rates. And person time is a concept you often encounter in epidemiology. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a quick diagram that's going to help aid this discussion a little bit. Okay, so in this drawing here, this is meant to represent the size of the individual rectangle that a person is in is the amount of time they've been followed for. So we can see some people have been followed for a lot more time than others. Okay. Then the green dots indicate the number of times the event has occurred. So we can see for this individual, they were followed for a large amount of time and they had 3 events occur. This person, a bit less time and only 1 event occur. Okay, so each of these rectangles, each of these represents the individual's person time contributed. Okay, it's the amount of time that person contributed. Right? Again, these are the events. Okay, and the entire rectangle is the total person years. Right? So how many person years or how much time was contributed by everyone in the entire study. Okay. And so in this example here, the rate again, is the total number of occurrences, right? So adding up all these green dots, how many times did the event occur, divided by the total person time, right? The entire big rectangle. Okay, now in our example, we have some data that goes along with this. In a separate video, we'll look at working with that actual data. But if you were to work this out, what you'd find is overall in the entire study, there were 983 total fractures, and there were 24,457 person years in care or trial years. Okay, so this is the overall rate of fractures. 983 per 24,457 person years. So let's talk a bit about the measures of association. And we already preluded to these in an earlier video. So let's just add that here. The measures of association. So in general, we're often interested in examining the effect that X has on Y, right? What effect does treatment have on fracture rate? Does treatment tend to increase or decrease the rate of fractures? So to do so, we're going to have to calculate the incident rate for the treatment group and the incidence rate for the exposed group. So let's look at getting those first. Okay, so the incidence rate, and I'm just going to use Tx to indicate the treatment group. This is the total number of fractures, right, or total number of occurrences for the treatment group divided by the total person time for the treatment group. Okay, and I'm going to label this as the incidence rate, generically for disease given exposed. Right, so this is the incidence rate, or the rate of fractures, okay, for the treatment, the rate of fractures given they are exposed to the treatment. Okay, so this is the generic terminology we use in writing things down. The incidence rate for disease given they're exposed. Then we can also think of calculating the incidence rate for the no treatment group, right? Those who did not receive the treatment. And similarly, this is going to be the total number of fractures for the no treatment group. Again, divided by the total person time for the no treatment group. And I'm going to label this as the incidence of the disease given they were not exposed. Okay, again, the generic terminology. We're looking at what's the rate of fractures for those who were not on the treatment. And now, again, in the data set that we're going to work with separately, you'd find if you look work these out, there were 453 fractures in the treatment group, and there were 12,240 person years they were followed for. So this comes out to 0.037 fractures per year. Okay, now one thing with rates, especially when there are events that don't occur very frequently, like say if we were counting the number of times someone visits a physician in a year, people will go multiple times, right? So we can say someone went 2.5 times per year on average. But something like a fracture, this doesn't happen very often, and if it does, you don't tend to have multiple fractures in a year. Okay, so one thing we can do is say multiply this, let's say that in this example, by 1,000. So if we were to take this times 1,000, right, 1, 2, 3, 37 fractures per 1,000 person years. Okay, so just a note, we can scale those up, and rather than saying there's 0.037 fractures per person per year, we can scale that up and say that we'd have 37 fractures per 1,000 person years. Now, again, if you were to work with this data and look at the untreated group, we'd find they have 530 fractures, and they were followed for 12,216 person years. And that comes out to 0.043. Right, so again, with the no treatment group, they're getting 0.043 fractures per person year. Or, like we said, we can multiply that by 1,000, and that's going to come out to 43 per 1,000 person years. So let's get to talking about the measures of association. Right? We saw in previous videos that we want to compare these two. Right? What's the rate of the disease or the rate of fractures for the treated group and the untreated group? And we saw that here we can look at what we're going to call the Incidence Rate Ratio. And I'm going to put a little iRR. And I'm doing that because, as we mentioned in the last video, we can take a ratio of incidence rates, right, or a ratio of prevalences. And so these get called rate ratio, risk ratio, relative risk. They tend to be used interchangeably. There is a slight difference, and that's why I'm trying to indicate here, is it a ratio of incidences, or in the case of prevalence data, a ratio of prevalences. Okay, but this is going to be the incidence of the disease given exposed relative to the incidence of the disease given they were not exposed. Okay, and again, a reminder, exposed and unexposed, disease, not disease, are generic terminology. Right here, the disease is getting a fracture, and the exposure is receiving the treatment. Okay, and here we saw it was 0.037, right, was the rate for the treated group. 0.043 was the rate for the untreated group. And if you work this out, it come out to be 0.085. Okay, and this has the same interpretation as we saw for ratios of prevalence, right, or the prevalence rate ratio. But let's just write down what that is here. Okay, so the rate of fractures for the treated group is 0.85 times the rate of the untreated. So you can say the number of fractures, or the rate of fractures for those on treatment, is 0.85 times the rate of the untreated. Okay, we also learned that you can subtract 1 from this to interpret as a percentage change. Right? So if we did 1 minus 0.85, we're going to get 0.15, or we can interpret that as 15% lower. Right? So again, just to state that, we can say that the rate of fractures for those who are receiving treatment is 15% lower than those who are not receiving treatment. Right? And again, this top is 15% less than the bottom. Right? Or the treatment seems to decrease the rate of fractures by about 15%. We can also look at the other measure of association, the incidence rate difference. Right, and I'm going to write this iRD. Right, so rather than taking the ratio of these, we can take their difference. The incidence of disease given or exposed minus the incidence of disease given not exposed. Sorry, got a bit messy there. Okay, but that's NE, the not exposed group. And again, if we were to work this out, 0.037 minus 0.043, that's going to come out to 0.0064. Okay, and as we said before, sometimes it's better to look at these when they're less than 1, scale them up. So let's look at these multiplied the rates per 1,000 instead. So the 37 minus 43. Okay, we'll get the same interpretation, so I'll show you either way. This is going to come out to what should be negative 6.4. Okay, and so the interpretation of this is, we'll provide the interpretation for this one here. For every 1,000 people, so for every 1,000 people on treatment, there will be 6.4 fewer fractures. Right, and again, just to think about that, we saw for those who are receiving treatment, we'd expect about 37 fractures per 1,000 person years. For those not receiving treatment, we'd expect about 43 fractures per 1,000 person years. Right, the difference in those two is negative 6.4, right? Or if we were to move 1,000 people to being treated, that would decrease about 6.4 fractures per 1,000 people, okay, or per 1,000 people per year. Okay. And one final note on these, as we saw before, for either of these measures, we can make a confidence interval. Right, so either of these are just estimates. Right, the true rate ratio might be a little bit more or a little bit less than 0.85. We can build a confidence interval using the same general principles we built up earlier in the course. Right, the estimate plus or minus a margin of error. Now we're doing it all with software, but we're relying on that concept we learned before. Right, we can tack a margin of error onto this, or we can test hypotheses about these. Right. In the case of the rate ratio, we can test a null hypothesis that it equals 1. Right? Equaling 1 tells us the rates are the same. Or for the rate difference, we can test the null hypothesis that the rate difference equals 0, right? Or that there is no difference in rates. These two rates are the same. Okay, so we can do those in the same way we did before, tacking a confidence interval onto these or testing a hypothesis about it. And we'll look at doing those using software.
Stick around, guys, because we got lots more. Statistics is so much fun.